Hey, thanks for joining us on the weekly In Wheel Time car show. Time now for a look at the car calendar and the racing calendar, and Conrad always has that for us.
And I'm going to keep this kind of short. Klein Band on October 10th at Klein High School is having an event that's a fundraiser for the band. October 25th, Northside Mustang Club is going to have their open car show at the Conroe Outlets.
Racing. This is
October.
Okay.
Racing. Going on here locally, CJ Spencer had kind of shared with me to kind of not promote, but to talk about some of the local dirt track stuff that's going on as well. So, there's tonight, it's already been rained out at the Gulf Coast Speedway in Alvin.
We're going to talk about it anyway.
Well,
that's because we're making it short.
Well, just to let people know that the Cotton Bowl Speedway in Page, the 105 Speedway in Cleveland, the Gulf Coast Speedway in Alvin, and the Texana Speedway in Edna are all going to have events on the 1st or the 8th as well. So,
well, Gina's having a big event next weekend.
That's going to be on the 1st.
And we're keeping our fingers crossed it doesn't rain.
Asphalt racing at its best at Houston Motorsports Park.
There'll be social distancing and masks, but you come on out.
And it's local NASCAR, not national NASCAR.
Correct.
So definitely come on out and support it.
Okay, and that's the racing calendar. Do we have the car calendar, or did you do that
I already did.
Oh, you kind of melded it all in there together. All right.
You told me to keep it short,
well,
I never do.
Well, I'm trying to make it longer, apparently. Okay, we're going to have more of Ashton Munoz right after a quick break here on the In Wheel Time Show.
It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? You found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time car show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com. Howdy, and this is your weekly go-to award-winning car talk show, In Wheel Time. Today is Dodge Day. This segment, we delve into the performance pages of many of Dodge's hot rods. We also have our Jeep Trails feature and peek into this week's Mystery Garage, plus the stories making automotive news headlines. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Bars and King Conrad DeLong. Don Armstrong here, so glad that you could join us. And speaking of joining us, once again, Ashton Munoz from not quite the UP of Michigan, but he says he's close. And we're kind of jealous because the weather here is kind of ugly today. But Ashton, thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate it. So this hour, we're going to talk about the performance pages. And if people aren't familiar with the Dodge brand and the Uconnect system, the performance pages, how would you describe the performance pages? Well,
if Don will pot you up,
no,
hold on a second.
I've got him up. Hold on, Ashton.
You guys can
There you are.
That was Mr. Mars' issue over there.
So the performance pages is really, it's almost like a dashboard on how to control, see all the settings going on with your car. And it has everything from, race features to driving settings from your steering wheel, suspension, all the way to gauges. So I believe last time we went through the gauges section.
Right.
And there was I think we may have talked briefly on drive modes, and then there were a bunch of other race features I wanted to cover with you guys, and that's what I was talking about earlier, battling heat. There's a bunch of really cool features in the performance pages, and all the race options that we battle heat with.
So if you don't mind, let's start with exactly how you get to the performance pages. It's relatively simple, isn't it?
Relatively simple. On the SRT vehicles, you'll see a little button that says drive modes, and you press drive modes and it brings you up into a screen, and I actually can show that again. I have a few more screens if you want me to.
We certainly do.
Please do.
All right, let me pull that up for you guys. All right. So if you see here, sorry about that. So this is the drive mode screen. So if you click on the drive modes button, it'll pull you up here. It'll pull you to a dashboard as well too, and then you can get into this drive mode and then actually change a lot of different features of the vehicle. So anything from power. On the Hellcats, you can dial it back to 500. It seems crazy to say dial it back to 500.
Well, let me ask you this. Why would you dial it back to 500?
Well, so in a lot of the times we actually see these cars, they're daily driver cars. People have these, especially the Charger, people are using them with their families. Let's say if, you have a young child that's just learning to drive a car, maybe you don't want them to have the full 700.
Yeah, let's dial them back to 500 and teach them how to drive. You have a 200 mark in there somewhere.
But when you dial back the power, let's just say from 800 to 500, does that change any of the other settings on it? Does it give it more a fuel economy besides giving it less power?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that happen. All the features change when you dial it back, and we also have an eco mode. So obviously, you dial the power back from 800. The fuel mapping's different, so you're not using as much fuel on every press of the gas or every time you stomp on the pedal. And then with eco mode, that actually dials it down, not the horsepower, but that just puts the car into a mode where you're basically telling it, hey, I want to get the best fuel economy possible. So, and there's a huge difference too. If you put it on track mode, tap the gas, I mean, you hear the tires chirp. If you put it on auto mode with eco on, tap the gas, it feels just like an everyday sedan that you take up north and let your 16, 17-year-old daughter or son drive.
Is the fuel savings significant when you put it in the eco mode?
Would be
it really
for me.
is, and I can have more experience actually on the 5.7 and the Scat Packs that we offer. They're really cool. On both of those engines, we offer a fuel saving mode. So basically, it turns the V8 into a 4-cylinder. It uses the unused cylinders as kind of air brakes, and the car goes into a 4-cylinder mode, which significantly saves fuel.
Well, I think that's very significant in itself. I mean, we always talk about these cars, the SRT brands of cars, and we always talk about the high horsepower. But, for many, many, many buyers and people that actually have these as the family car and commute back and forth to work. And in Houston, really, we commute here on an average of at least 20 miles a day overall. And some even further than that. I know at one time I commuted 50 miles to work one way. And so when you're commuting, you don't need the 800 horsepower. Going down the Hardy Toll Road, you're going to probably do 70 miles an hour, maybe 80 miles an hour. But I'd rather do that in the eco mode as opposed to the full range of 800 horsepower and all the things that it'll do.
Yes, and it's cool too because you can switch it right on the fly. So let's say, I'll use a real world example. On my way up north this week, on the highway, I just had it in auto mode. It was running on 4 cylinders on the Scat Pack, and then when we got off the highway and got to some of the more twisty roads, I put it in sport or even track, and you can hear the exhaust kind of be louder. The traction's less, the suspension's stiffer, the steering wheel's stiffer, and it just feels tighter and louder, and everything's more instant. But it's awesome because it really is right on the fly.
It's more badassier.
Yes,
but it's a fully integrated change as you change between each of those modes. It's not just the output of the engine; it's fully integrating everything: transmission, suspension, brakes,
paddle shifters,
steering,
everything.
Yeah.
That's right. And then you can also customize it. So I like, I joke around about my Detroit mode. I always put it in, but that's basically, all full power, but plan for potholes in the road. So put the suspension on street.
Potholes and those iron plates they cover the potholes with.
Yeah,
See, I like that though because you could run it with the full 700, 800 horsepower to enter the freeway. You
Oh
can get
my
up to
God.
that 70 miles an hour really, really quick, and then kick it over into your eco mode so that you can save
Pay
some
no
fuel.
attention to him, Ashton, because here's a guy that has a glove box that's full of unpaid tickets for speeding and doing reckless things on the freeway with your cars.
I didn't hear that.
And I didn't say it either.
Well, yeah. So let's continue on with the performance pages. So we know that we can dial back the power, but there's other features as well.
That's right. So this kind of whole list, I'll go down with. It's a bunch of really cool options and features on these cars. So line lock. I'm sure everybody knows what line lock is, but if there's anybody listening that doesn't, it's basically the newest way to heat up your rear tires, clean them up before you go drag racing. Back in the day, and I'm sure we've done this, you can't even count how many times we've done it, but a little brake torque. So you hit the brake, hit the gas, spin the brake, break the back tires loose. But the only bad thing, obviously, is you're wasting rear rotor when you do that, when you overcome it. And you're heating up the rotor and all that too. So with this, obviously, lock the front brakes. It's all electronic. You can heat up the rears, clean off your tires, and then line up for staging.
Heat up the rears. Notice he doesn't say do a smoke show, right? It's just heating up the rear tires.
Or a burn down. He doesn't say that. He doesn't use those words because he is a factory guy, and he knows those words.
He's just
but
heating up the tires.
He's just heating up the tires and getting more traction on there. Yeah, I got it. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Making the sticky come out.
One. So a line lock is standard on our Scat Packs and above. So Scat Pack, Hellcat, Red Eye, Super Stock, those will all come standard with a line lock. Another one is launch control. So this one's very useful, and you guys know too. This probably better than anybody. But one thing that we try to do is consistency for these cars in drag racing. Drag racing's super fun for pros and amateurs. But one of the things that makes it even more fun is when you can get consistent times. So you can do the launch control. You can set your RPMs depending on what wheels and tires you have on the car, how prepped the track is, or if it's prepped at all. Obviously, the higher you set it, the more grip you'll have to get that launch. But you can dial it in and out through this launch control setting.
Does it, when you do the launch control setting, does it also does it keep it from not rolling through the staging lights? I mean, how does that work?
So you'll pull up the drive modes button. You'll get into the launch control setting on here. You'll activate it, and then it's all through the screen. So it'll basically tell you to press the gas and the brake simultaneously and at the same time. You'll be doing that, and as you're doing that, air will be going through the engine. Your front brakes will be held, and as soon as you let off that brake, it then activates everything in the engine, and then you're off.
All hell breaks loose is what you're saying.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better.
Wow. Well, so it's really none of that stuff that I actually went through when trying to drive that 6-cylinder and keep the tires from lighting up in the back end at the drag strip on a Friday night.
We're just making it easier and easier for everybody nowadays.
Well, I mean, that's what it's all about, and why not? Because if you've got the computer know-how to do all of this stuff, and it really doesn't take a lot of knowledge to do it. I mean, it's pretty easy the way that it's all set up.
Yeah, it's all in there, so it's like, why not take advantage of the cool technology that we have and actually offer it to the customers and owners for them to be able to control.
Well, you're not going to. Go ahead.
And that's when you're talking about the consistency, because this truly is what makes these muscle cars, by the oldest definition there is. You can drive it all week long, take it out to the track, and you can be consistent and you can be competitive with these vehicles using these tools at the track.
And Ashton, I have to add on to that the fact that, we always talk about the Red Eye, the Hellcat, all the new 800 horsepower and all that sort of stuff. But I have to tell you that I think that my favorite car of all is the 392 Scat Pack, the normally aspirated engine. It's got plenty of horsepower, and it's more affordable, obviously, than the supercharged versions of it. And it's just my preference. Plus, you can also get a manual transmission in it.
So I totally agree with you personally, and all of our customers seem to agree with you as well. Right now on the Charger and the Challenger, our Scat Pack it's been shooting up. It's one of our most popular models. And I think just obviously you said the price The value, it's right around $40,000, and to get near 500 horsepower for around $40,000 is right in the bread and butter, in the sweet spot of the whole muscle car industry right now.
What is the warranty on these cars?
33 years, 36.
3 and 36. Okay.
And
Yeah.
and
A quarter mile at a time. It'll last a little while.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because you mentioned this about consistency and learning. You hear all these features, and at first you think, oh, there's a bunch of nannies to help people get faster times. They actually are a really good tool to help the driver learn how to go faster.
And that's also supported by your non-street version Challengers that you sell, because when you look at some of the track events, and now they're doing a pure stock version of the Challenger in the NHRA, they have their own class where they race against the Mustangs, the Camaros, and the Challengers. And you guys have what's her name from Races for Prudhomme? The girl. Well, my brain just went empty. But and actually, she's been extremely successful. So you're actually bringing what you learn on the track to the street through your NHRA events with the Challenger too.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Well,
and then I definitely want to get to a few other. There's a really cool power chiller too that we haven't talked about yet.
Let's do it. We got about 2 minutes to go.
All right, so this one's really cool. I can finally talk about it now for Charger. So we have it now for the Charger Red Eye for 21 model year. This first came out with the Demon, and it's the only kind of feature in the industry right now. But basically, in track mode on our Red Eye, so our Challenger Red Eye, our Charger Red Eye, and the Challenger Superstock, we have a power chiller. So it basically takes your air conditioning, refrigerant, and coolant, cycles it through the radiator, cycles it through a chiller unit that's chilled by the air conditioner refrigerant, and then cycles it back into the supercharger cooler.
Oh my gosh! I don't have to pack it with dry ice anymore.
Yeah, it's a high-tech cool can.
Exactly. So we literally cool down the supercharger with the AC unit in track mode on the Red Eyes to get even more cooling and performance out of these 800 horsepower models.
Because the colder the air, the more dense it is, the more oxygen there's available. Throw fuel at it and make it go bang.
So what you're telling me here is that you've got some guys over there in the engineering department, the engine engineering department, that obviously have done some naughty things in their earlier life. I don't know, not necessarily the street, but certainly on the drag strip.
Oh yeah, and
oh yeah.
I mean, we're lucky. We're lucky. We get to work with the best engineers, and it's funny. Going to work is like it's just something that we love to do. We love working on these cars. We are car people, so it's just as much of a joy to make these cars and do these cool features and technology it is, to offer it even to the customer.
Well, Ashton, it's great to talk to you as always with Dodge, and we really appreciate all of the knowledge that you've brought to our show today, not only with the Dodge brand, but also with the performance pages and the Uconnect system. It's great to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining us, and we hope to see you again and talk to you again soon.
Anytime. Thank you guys very much for having us.
Thank you, my friend.
Thanks.
We'll talk to you again soon. Time now for a Jeep Trails feature, In Wheel Time's weekly look into the world of Jeeping, and Mr. Mars has that for us.
Man, it's a tough act to follow him. So, one of the things that we were looking at with the Jeep lifestyle, it's all about the great outdoors and things like that. So people, now that we're in this kind of a pandemic thing, I've kind of noticed some people, they're taking advantage of that kind of quietly. But, you go to some of these campgrounds, you get into the outdoors, RVing, things like that. And one of the things you can do, if you go to Jeep.com and you go into Jeep lifestyle, and we've talked about this before, but there's a section there called the Badge of Honor. And it's really designed, they've laid out some tracks or some courses across the country that you can go, take your Jeep and go to. But you could also take it a step further. That could also be a guide. If you're wanting to go RVing and be in the outdoors with you and your family, kind of social distance, but still be out in the sunshine, you could use that as a guide, even if you're not full on into the Jeep off-roading.
Okay.
So Jeep.com, and it's called the Badge of Honor, and you can put the app on your phone.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, this week in automotive history and Inside the Mystery Garage, coming up next here on the In Wheel Time Car Show.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
A social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
It's your All Things Automotive Weekly Car Talk Show. In Wheel Time, a reminder that we are live on the In Wheel Time website, on YouTube and Facebook each and every Saturday, 10 a.m. to noon Central Time, and we thank you for riding with us today. Time now for Inside the Mystery Garage, which, by the way, is that this area back here. Can you see it right back here? See, back here? That's the Mystery Garage. Okay, because we are in Studio A, which is actually sitting in front of the Mystery Garage, and today's Mystery Garage is a little bit something different. I thought that I would bring to you because, you know, we've always talked about redoing your garage, and I thought, well, you know, let's go a little different and fantasize just a moment. This is a real garage. Clearly, this man has means with which to outfit his garage.
Full of Ferraris.
And there's a glass partition. I don't know whether you can see it there, but there's a glass partition between the man cave, which is in the foreground here, and he obviously is a Ferrari man because you can see the Ferrari logo there on the cushions in the foreground. And there's a bar back there, and there's places to store your glasses and a nice refrigerator. And then you go back to the business part of it, if you really want to call it that, because he's got a elevator there for the red, see the red Ferrari that's facing away? That's an elevator. So it lowers down into the floor and allows for more space to have your mechanics to come in and work on the cars that you own.
Just a man of means. Well, he's got an Aston Martin sitting right there, that orange car.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
But you'll notice that where the red Ferrari is, in that cage-looking thing, that is an elevator. So imagine that lowers down into the floor and allows
to the other parking garage. That's the one where you just want to stash the trash and bring the pretty cars up top.
That's where the guys that are under your employ that take care of your cars, that's where they work on them. And when they finish them, they put them in the lift and bring them back up to the show level.
In the lift.
I like that. Yes, well, you call it an elevator if you want to. But I have to tell you that there clearly are two doors that are inside the garage there. One in the back, in the very back of the wall. And there's another one over to the left-hand side that you can't see, where the other cars are parked over here. So there are multiple entrances and exits to the garage.
And I bet you this guy has most of his cars insured with Haggerty, right? Because Angelica just joined us online.
Yes, I'm sure. Well, no, they're not 20 years old, but they are collector cars. But I would imagine that insurance is probably not an issue for this man.
No.
Or woman. No. I don't know. It could be a woman. Instead of a man cave, it could be a woman cave.
A car cave.
A car cave, right. So invite the friends. A she shed. I like that. Cheryl's she shed.
That's right.
Well, that one burned down, remember? But at any rate, I just wanted to show you an example of how the other side can live.
That's a beautiful other side as well.
I want to remind you that if you're a member of a car, truck, or Jeep club, we'd love to put your bunch in our car club spotlight. And all you have to do is shoot us an email with the contact information to info@inwheeltime.com. We'll get that, and we'll put your bunch in the car club spotlight. Time now for This Week in Automotive History, and Conrad has that for us.
Well, In 1903, the first Ford Model A,
I remember that.
which was before the Model T, was delivered to Ernest Fenning of Chicago, Illinois, and we're going to bring that Model A back, which they only made for 2 years.
Any relationship to Ernest T?
Yes, Ernest T. But the Model A has a relationship with Dodge as well, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. In 1904, Louis Rigoli drove a 15-liter Brill car. Brill. In Belgium to over 100 miles an hour.
Is that where they got Brill cream from?
Brill cream. You don't need Brill cream. You need hair, Jeff. But can you imagine going 100 miles an hour in 1904 with those big, tall wheels and no seat belts and probably no windshield?
If I were
no helmet?
16 or 18, yes, I could.
And then also in 1911, General Motors organized GMC Truck Company to handle the sales of GM's Rapid and Reliance products. So GMC goes back that far. In 1941, the American automaker Henry Ford writes a letter to the Indian of India, Mahatma Gandhi, praising him on his civil disobedience aimed at forcing the British colonial government out of India. Henry Ford was quite a he had a very political position on a lot of things. Some things were agreed with by the American government.
So he's the one that's responsible for when I call Sears that I get somebody over there on the other end of the line.
Absolutely.
Okay.
In 1987, Enzo Ferrari commemorated Ferrari's 40th anniversary by unveiling the Ferrari F40, which was the first production car. It had a 2.9-liter turbo V8.
What's the significance of 40? Here we go with the fours again, the 400, the 40.
Well, the 40 was his 40th anniversary of Ferrari.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, Ferrari started in 1947, and in 1987, that would be
40
years later. But that was also the first production car to break the 200-mile-an-hour barrier. And then in 1998, the US 500, the championship auto racing series, what is currently known as IndyCar, had a pretty tragic event where some spectators were killed in an event, and it brought more. Every time something like this happens, it brings more and more safety innovations to the automotive motorsports field, and that's when they really started putting the catch fences up much higher, threading the 1-inch cable through the catch fences. They leaned the catch fences over the racetrack again, so stuff wouldn't get off the car and up into the audience. And then the other thing is, now you look at a lot of these open-wheel racers, they actually tether components of the car so they don't release and get up into the audience. So even though it was a tragic situation, the outcome of it's been pretty good for the future.
Thank you, sir. This week's Auto News is next on the In Wheel Time Car Show. Stick with us.
GTG, BRB, OMW, be there in a few. You may think that these kinds of texts are fine because of their length, and you can easily send them at a stoplight. But no, answering one text can take your attention away from the road for 5 seconds. And traveling at 55 miles an hour, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Make good decisions. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild-to-wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com.
You're on the In Wheel Time Car Show. Thanks for riding along. Time now for the stories making auto news headlines this week. And we start with great news. Tesla is the big winner in the sweepstakes. Texas is
the big winner.
In the sweepstakes to land Tesla's next Gigafactory. CEO Elon Musk, speaking on the company's second quarter earnings call Wednesday, said construction began this past weekend, a week ago, on the 2,000-acre site outside of Austin along the Colorado River that sits about 5 minutes away from the Austin airport. Musk said the location will be open to the public and is basically going to be an ecological paradise, no doubt. The site will build Tesla's Cybertruck pickup and semi-truck, Have you seen the semi-truck? Along with the Model 3 sedan and the Model Y crossover. Goodbye, California. Nanny, nanny, boo, boo.
Stick your head in.
Doo-doo. Rivian said Friday expects to begin delivering a battery electric pickup and battery electric SUV to customers starting in 1 year, next summer. The R1T pickup will arrive first in June. The R1S utility vehicle is scheduled to roll off the line in August of 2021. Rivian, backed by Ford, Cox Automotive, Amazon, and others, began assembling vehicles on a pilot production line this week.
And think about how many of those they're going to sell to Amazon to deliver to your house soon.
Yeah, like the next day. Order it online and we'll send it right over. No problem. No problem whatsoever. Well,
they'll be replacing all those Mercedes Sprinter vans with a Rivian.
Yep, exactly. Here's a Cadillac story that I know that I teased earlier when I went on a rant about the review of the CT6 that I
You're
had.
such a tease.
It's no coincidence that the names of two upcoming Cadillacs, the Lyriq, and that's spelled Lyriq, and the Celestiq, Celestiq, end with the same two letters. The brand plans to give all the vehicles in its pipeline names that end with IQ.
Finally, somebody at General Motors has an IQ. I worked there for 25 years, and I looked for them. I thought I was the only one there, along with a few friends of mine with an IQ at GM.
Why are they doing this? Because they are transitioning from internal combustion engines to
electric.
Full electric. God help us all. They're going to have to do something with the press fleet because I won't accept one that's got a 110-volt charger ever again in my entire life. Done with that. You're going to give me the card that I could take it up there to the Whole Foods market and plug it in. I'm not doing 110 because it never charges.
But you'll be sitting out in front of Whole Foods for an hour and a half.
Well, I don't care about that.
That's next week's show.
Then it's a 30 minutes is all I need.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that to look forward to.
IQ.
The IQ. You hear,
but will Don turn one down when they give him one to drive?
You hear about these grumpy old men. Well,
there's 3 of us sitting right here, 4 of us sitting right here.
You found one, and you're having to pull me through all of this. Okay, well that's it for this hour of In Wheel Time. We've got more of our show following this quick break.